kids. And right here on the Sun Coast, there is an organization that helps families and patients prepare for the end of life. Empath Health is the parent organization for Tidewell Hospice, which has offered home-centered end-of-life care for people with advanced illness and their families since 1980. Well, Summer Smith is joining us now with an in-depth look into the services offered by Tidewell and sharing more about the hospice process. Summer.
Stephanie, I am joined this afternoon by Karen Davis-Pritchett, Empath Health's Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And Karen, we thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Often, you know, we think of end of life with our older generation, but that's obviously not the case, especially with the story we just saw, and it's not uncommon for younger people to seek hospice care.
It is not uncommon. Our average patient is about 80 years old. However, we are seeing younger patients, and we are able to take care of patients whether they are pediatrics or middle-aged or seniors. We are able to provide that individualized hospice care for them.
And how do you prepare an individual for hospice care, and how do they know it's time to reach out to hospice?
Right. So if they have a diagnosis or prognosis of 6 months or less from their physician, they're usually eligible for hospice care. And at that point, our team is available to come in to make sure that they have what they need for this emotional time, providing that psychosocial, emotional support. You know, November is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month, and the theme is Courageous Conversations. And our team is there to help families with those courageous conversations of understanding what their wishes are, how they want to be cared for, and really helping facilitate those conversations for everyone in the family.
Now, former President Jimmy Carter, we've been hearing reports in and out of hospice care for the past few months. Is that normal and typical for people?
It is typical. If someone is enrolled and admitted into hospice care and they start doing better or they no longer need those services, we can recertify them. They will be discharged. If they need our services again, then they are able to come back on to hospice care, and we call that graduating from hospice.
Okay, a lot of different steps
Yes.
that many people may not realize, of course, unless you're dealt with, you know, you're dealing with this. And what services, programs do you offer to help support the patient plus their loved ones? Because you're not only dealing with the patient.
Right, and that is the wonderful gift of hospice care, that it is holistic, that we're not just taking care of the patient, but we're also taking care of the caregiver and the family, and providing that emotional support, having a space and creating a safe space for people to question, for people to think about their last wishes, and to create memorable experiences, helping them create those legacy moments that they want to leave behind with their family members. And providing, again, for children, that's really, really important, and age-appropriate conversations and using different modalities, whether that's play or art, to really help them be able to express those complicated feelings that they may be expressing.
You're a therapist also, then.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. That is part of our IDT team, our interdisciplinary team, is that psychosocial component. So having your social worker, having your chaplain, but also having our bereavement counselors. One of the important benefits of hospice care is 13 months after that loved one passes away, we're still there to walk alongside that family, providing that bereavement support. And with Tidewell Hospice, we have our Blue Butterfly program, which is specific for our children that are 5 years old to 18, and really providing that specialized care that our children need.
Okay. And I was just talking about that program with a friend today, which is so special to help the children who lose one of their parents.
Yes.
And what do families need to be aware of when they're considering the outline for preparing for hospice? What do they need to do specifically to prepare?
Really think about the documenting of their wishes. They can be happening through a living will. Understanding what are those interventions that they may or may not want. Being able to have that conversation with their physician. Also with their healthcare surrogate, for the person that is going to be able to speak for them when they may not be able to speak for themselves. And then also what's important to them. What is it that they value, their cultural beliefs, their spiritual, their faith beliefs. And really helping to understand that so that we can be there to support those wishes and those values and honor honor those values through really cultural responsive care.
So respectful, okay. And what happens when a patient takes a turn for the worse while at home and not in a hospice facility?
Well, we want to provide care in the home. We do have our hospice homes when that is for short term if a patient is having unmanageable symptoms. But hospice care is provided where that person calls home. So we're there with our team, with our nurses, our CNAs, our physicians, our volunteers, making sure that that family is wrapped around all of the services that they need in order for the caregiver and the family members to be able to have those memorable moments with their loved one.
And I know you don't just sit by the bedside. Hospice does some special things for patients who are terminal: weddings,
Yes.
birthday parties.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are walking alongside them, and we want to know, how can we make this a full life for you? And through the generous donors that we have, our Tidewell Foundation, they're able to make those memorable, whether it's, you know, a visit or a birthday party, like you said, or a wedding, or going on a trip, or going to a Tampa Bay Rays game, that we're there to make those moments special and help this person create a legacy that is going to be honored and respected and cherished for years and years to come with their family.
Well, you're such a blessing to this community. The organization just does wonders, so thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, and we are out of time, but we do thank Karen Davis-Pritchett, Empath Health's Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, for joining us. Again, we appreciate your time in this important topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Summer and Karen. Still to come, there's growing concern over the possible government shutdown. If an agreement is not reached, it could spell chaos for millions of Americans planning to